the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Happened June 7th, 2025.
Just now, yeah.
So get ready. Big bumps, some really strange conspiracy theories.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
And a major family drama playing out right in front of everyone.
It's got all the elements. And Money in the Bank, I mean, it's always a huge deal on the calendar, isn't it?
For sure. 6 competitors, brutal ladder match.
All chasing that one briefcase, that contract hanging up there.
Guarantees a world championship shot. Anytime, any place, for up to a year.
Pure opportunity just dangling there.
And this one, this particular Money in the Bank, it had extra layers.
Like the anniversary.
Exactly, 20th anniversary of the very first one. And the sources made a point of this and went right back to LA.
Where it all started. WrestleMania 21, right.
Nice historical touch.
It is. And, you know, looking at the history, the stats you pulled from the sources are pretty eye-opening.
Lay them on us.
Okay, so across all the men's Money in the Bank matches ever, 179 different guys have been in it.
179. That is a lot of people who've tried.
It really is. But here's the kicker, the stat that really tells the story.
Okay.
Out of those 179, only 24 have actually won the briefcase.
24. That's it.
That's it. It works out to like a 13% success rate.
Wow. 13%. That just shows how incredibly hard it is to win that match itself.
Absolutely brutal odds just to get your hands on the contract.
But the cash-in part, that's where the odds flip, right? The sources mention that.
Massively. Because winning the match is rare, yeah, but cashing in successfully, much more likely.
Okay.
Your sources note, out of the 25 times the men's contract has been cashed in, 19 times the person won the title.
19 out of 25.
Yep. That's a 76% success rate for the cash in itself.
So win the match, super hard, cash it in, pretty good chance you walk out champion.
That's the dynamic. Win the lottery, then, you know, the odds are heavily in your favor for the big prize.
Definitely raises the stakes.
Okay, let's unpack this then, because the whole concept of the Money in the Bank match itself, that's where the unique stakes really kick in.
Absolutely. The sources really hammer this home, the usual rules. Forget them, they're out the window, no countouts, no disqualifications, you can't pin anyone, can't make them submit. None of that applies here.
Right. It's chaos. The only objective, the only way to win, is to climb a ladder that's set up in the ring and grab a briefcase hanging way up high, everyone for themselves.
And inside that briefcase, that's the real prize. It's a contract. Guarantees a championship match.
But here's the thing that makes it so powerful, and the sources keep pointing this out. You can cash that contract in anytime, any place. For a whole year. You don't need to climb the rankings or win a tournament. You just have the title shot waiting.
Exactly. It's like a golden ticket, almost unstoppable if you time it right.
Yeah.
Winning this one match, grabbing that briefcase, it can genuinely change your career, like completely alter your path in WWE.
So the stakes aren't just winning tonight. It's about grabbing that massive opportunity, that shortcut, right in the middle of all the mayhem. Okay, so let's look at the 6 guys fighting for that career-changing contract. It's a real mix.
Yeah, it is. And starting with someone who probably understands the power of that briefcase better than, well, maybe anyone else in this match. Seth freaking Rollins. Sources note he's got Paul Heyman, the WWE Hall of Famer, with him tonight.
And his history with this exact match type is, like, super important. He actually won the Money in the Bank contract way back in 2014.
And that win led directly to maybe the most famous cash-in ever. The sources talk about him cashing in at WrestleMania the next year. They call it the heist of the century. A moment so big it apparently changed the next decade in WWE. So that's the kind of weight he brings.
Wow. So he didn't just participate. He used it to shake up the entire company. But the sources also mentioned he hasn't exactly been making friends recently. Just last night on SmackDown, he apparently went after 3 other guys in this match. Penta, Andrade, and LA Knight.
Whoa, hang on. So right off the bat, you've got built-in conflict. You got to think those 3 might be looking for payback tonight, right? In this already chaotic match.
Exactly. And the sources add he also had some kind of major face-to-face confrontation with Solo Sikoa and his crew. So yeah, potential enemies coming from all sides before the match even starts.
Sounds like he's walking in with a massive target painted on his back.
Yeah.
But the sources also point out this interesting stat. Seth Rollins has more wins at the Money in the Bank event itself than anyone. 7 wins overall at this show. So even if it's not always this specific match, he knows how to win here.
7 wins at the event. That's pretty incredible consistency. But the sources also draw this really sharp contrast between how Rollins got here and another competitor. They mentioned Rollins had to, scratch, claw, and grasp every opportunity to really work his way up from the bottom over years.
Which leads us perfectly to Penta from Mexico. The sources say he's just exploded onto the scene, captured the imagination of fans and people inside WWE incredibly quickly. They call him captivating. His whole vibe is an experience. The Penta experience, one commentator apparently called it.
So, completely different path from Rollins' long grind. Penta's rise sounds almost meteoric according to the sources. He qualified beating Chad Gable and Dragon Lee. Now, they do point out this is his first WWE ladder match, but they add he's been in plenty outside WWE.
Right, so the environment isn't totally alien, just this specific WWE version. And apparently Penta himself thinks he's the favorite. On the Countdown show, he supposedly said he believes he's got this because he was damn good in L.
Yeah, the commentary did not seem to buy that. One source quotes a commentator calling that belief absolutely insane, especially staring across the ring at someone like Rollins. And this is where that contrast comes up again.
They really highlight it. Someone like Penta, only 5 months into his career here at WWE, and he's already right there, on the precipice of the very top.
Interesting. So the sources aren't just listing facts. They're setting up this narrative tension between the veteran who climbed the mountain and the newcomer who seemingly got fast-tracked. They do acknowledge Penta's worldwide experience, traveled world, honing his skills, wrestled every country, but that difference in their WWE journeys is clearly a point being made.
Yeah, a very different arrival to this huge opportunity. Okay, next up, El Grande Americano. Sources say he's from the Gulf of America.
He got into this match by winning a big triple threat on Raw against CM Punk and AJ Styles. But this is where things get, well, kind of weird and intriguing, according to the sources. They highlight some very specific details around him, almost like a conspiracy theory brewing.
Oh yeah, this definitely caused some debate in the commentary based on our sources.
So whether it's just a string of bizarre coincidences or something else, the sources are definitely flagging this strange connection between El Grande Americano and Chad Gable. It adds this layer of mystery around him, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. Okay, moving on. Andrade, also from Mexico. And the key thing the sources note about him, nobody really talking about him going into this match.
Interesting. With all the fireworks around Rollins, the mystery with El Grande Americano, the Penta buzz, Andrade is just kind of there, according to the commentary anyway.
And the sources actually suggest that might be his best strategy, being overlooked. That could be a good place to be in this kind of chaotic match. He can just fly under the radar, let the other guys beat each other up, and then maybe make his move when the time is right.
Smart. A win would still change your career, just like for everyone else, the sources remind us. And he earned a spot, beat Carmelo Hayes and Jacob Fatu to qualify. So maybe being the dark horse is exactly where Andrade wants to be.
Could be. Okay, next. Solo Sikoa from Las Vegas. Sources point out he's been on this stage before main event at the last 2 Money in the Bank events, but crucially, those were both tag team matches.
Ah, okay. So he knows the pressure of the event, the big stage feel, but this is his first ever Money in the Bank contract ladder match in WWE. Different goal entirely, right?
Exactly. Though the sources do clarify he did have a similar contract ladder match back in NXT. So the idea of climbing for a contract isn't completely new to him. He has some relevant experience with the match type.
And his strengths seem perfect for this kind of environment. The sources call him the street fighting champion of the islands, describe him as incredibly durable, resourceful, and finds a way to win, especially when, everything available to you is potentially a weapon.
Yeah, that sounds tailor-made for a no-DQ ladder match, doesn't it? Durable, resourceful, uses weapons. He qualified by beating Jimmy Uso, former Bloodline member, and Penta's brother, Rey Fenix.
Oh.
The core identity the sources give him for this match, simple. All about power.
Okay, and finally, we have the man they name this entire city after, LA Knight, from Los Angeles, of course, the mega star.
Yeah, and the commentary seems really high on him tonight, according to the sources. They argue he's actually talking a lot of sense here, which they contrast with calling his past stuff nonsense.
So they're really buying into him this time. They apparently believe it will make a lot of sense to a lot of people around planet Earth if LA Knight finally grabs the briefcase. Sounds like they think it's his time.
And they talk about the huge impact a win would have. It would send his career in planet Earth into overdrive. There's definitely this feeling of momentum, maybe even destiny, around LA Knight in these sources.
And adding to that feeling, the sources point out this is his third straight year LA Knight's been in Money in the Bank ladder match. They literally ask if maybe this year is the charm for him. Persistence.
It really highlights his drive for this specific prize.
Yeah.
He keeps getting back into this match, wants it bad.
The sources also had that quick mention of Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey presenting the match, the official shot of WWE bad guys. Just a little detail from the presentation grounds it in the event itself.
Right, part of the overall broadcast context.
So, okay, that's our 6 competitors, and they're not just random names thrown together. Each one, based on these sources, brings a totally unique story.
Now, this specific match, the sources were clear that action didn't just, start randomly.
No.
There was real heat, immediate animosity right from the bell. And you saw it instantly. Sources say bell rings, no feeling out, nothing.
But what?
Andrade, night, Penta, boom. Straight for Rollins, surrounded him, attacked him.
Total payback for SmackDown. They wanted revenge right away.
And Sikoa joined in on that too.
He did, yeah. Helped toss Rollins out early on. But speaking of Solo, the commentary in your sources picked up on something interesting.
About him in this match.
Yeah, his whole demeanor, it felt different, apparently, compared to, his time just being the enforcer in the bloodline.
Oh, right, this shift you mentioned.
Exactly. For so long, he was the silent, stoic, just, muscle for Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Protect the chief, destroy people.
Yeah, very focused role.
But in this match, commentary said he was way more animated, showing emotion, even moments of humor.
Humor from Solo. That is different.
It really is. The sources specifically pointed out he was doing poses, seemed to be kind of enjoying the chaos, mocking guys. One commentator apparently said this change, this evolution, showing more personality, having fun, it seemed to be working for him. Added a new layer.
So he's maybe moving beyond just being the heavy, starting to show more character in there.
Seems like a deliberate effort, yeah. And based on the commentary reaction in the sources, it landed pretty well. He wasn't just robotic.
That's interesting. Okay, let's shift gears to, based on how much time the sources spent on it, probably the weirdest running story of the whole match.
I think I know where you're going. El Grande Americano.
The conspiracy. The commentary team, they were obsessed with this idea he might secretly be Chad Gable.
Obsessed is the word. It wasn't just a throwaway line. They spent ages debating it, presenting their quote-unquote evidence.
And the evidence. Oh, boy. What were the big points they kept hitting from the sources?
Okay, so first off, this started before Money in the Bank. Apparently, in a previous match, Americano wore boots.
Yeah.
With CG on them.
El Grande Americano was wearing boots that said CG. CG Chad Gable.
Right. Or maybe Corey Graves. Just saying.
Right. What exactly is being just said here?
Commentary jumped all over it. Then Gable apparently tweeted some explanation like, oh, the airline lost his boots. I just leased him mine.
The classic lost luggage defense. Sure, Yan. Didn't work, I take it.
Okay, leasing boots. Already a bit strange. But wait, it gets weirder. The sources then flagged that earlier that same day at another event, Worlds Collide, Chad Gable was there competing with his right elbow and arm all taped up. Heavily taped.
Okay, injured elbow. Happens.
But then, later that night, Money in the Bank match, El Grande Americano comes out.
Don't tell me.
With his right elbow and arm heavily taped.
The same arm. The same day. Okay, yeah, I see why commentary went nuts with that one.
They absolutely ran with it. And the commentary apparently went back and forth on this. One person was trying to shoot it down, calling it a conspiracy theory, suggesting maybe sympathy pains or just, guy hurt his elbow. Yeah, people have hurt elbows. Just a coincidence.
But the other commentator wasn't having it. Sounded really suspicious. Pushing back like, what is this? Achilles. The first time that thing tore. Clearly, finding it hard to swallow is pure chance. Ended up saying something like, you've proven nothing tonight. It's a coincidence, I guess. But, it is pretty specific, gotta admit. What else? They didn't stop there, did they?
Oh, no. Michael Cole, according to the sources, threw in the Wikipedia angle.
Wikipedia? Seriously?
Apparently, if you searched El Grande Americano on Wikipedia, it just redirected straight to Chad Gable's page.
The font of all unquestionable knowledge.
Exactly. And the other commentators immediately started mocking Wikipedia's reliability. Like, oh yeah, never any errors there. Total sarcasm.
Okay.
Maybe Jesse Ventura can get to the bottom of this.
But wait, there's more research, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Something anatomical.
Yes, the nipple comparison.
They really went there.
Wade Barrett apparently claimed he'd done deep research to tell them apart. his method, studying and comparing men's nipples.
You're kidding.
Nope. Said he compared the size differences between Gables and Americanos when they wrestle shirtless as a definitive ID method.
Wow. And they talked about this on air. Repeatedly.
Repeatedly, according to the sources. Clearly for laughs, it became this bizarre running gag, and then the match itself seemed to play into it.
Oh.
Americano at one point puts on an ankle lock up on top of a ladder.
A gable lock.
Whoa.
Or angle lock, yeah.
Yeah.
His signature hold.
Bingo. Commentary jumps right on it. Classic Chad Gable ankle lock. The move itself just fed the theory.
It became this whole self-fulfilling prophecy on commentary.
Totally. It got so involved, the sources say commentary even started joking that the only possible swerve left was for them to actually be two different people, just to justify how far they'd taken the whole thing.
That would be the ultimate punchline. But there was another angle too, right? Why other luchadors might hate Americano. Besides the identity thing.
Yeah, the sources mentioned commentary brought up a more business reason. Professional jealousy.
Over what?
Merchandise. Specifically masks. The quote was something like, nobody's buying Penta's masks anymore. They're buying El Grande Americanos.
The economics of wrestling. Hits them where it hurts the wallet.
Exactly. Frames it as a business rivalry, adds another layer. And performance-wise, identity aside, Americano was apparently doing well.
Yeah, sources said he was on quite a roll since coming to Raw as this character. Maybe undefeated.
Possibly undefeated, yeah. And also called the most entertaining heel in the match.
So Mystery Man, maybe undefeated, maybe Chad Gable, definitely selling masks and entertaining the crowd as a villain. Quite the package.
Definitely made him stand out, even with the nipple talk.
Okay, let's put the identity crisis aside for a second. Talk action. Ladder match. Sources said it was fast. Mile a minute.
Relentless pace, yeah. But not just random chaos. They said it built well to the big spots.
And the big spots sounded brutal. The sources mentioned guys were only out if they were, quote, literally murdered.
Yeah. Great description of the intensity. You weren't just rolling out for a breather. And those ladder spots, oof.
Tell me about them. Andrade's sunset flip bomb.
Yeah, on Americano, off a ladder. Described as a hellacious bump, brutal landing, just nasty.
Yikes. And Penta. He had a couple of big ones.
He did. Superplexed Seth Rollins onto another ladder below them.
And the sources said that ladder snapped.
Snapped clean in half, raised immediate concern for Rollins' spine, taking a fall like that directly onto metal.
Man, amidst the carnage, Andrade had a smart moment. With Penta.
Yeah, the mind game. They were tag partners recently, right? Both reached the top of the ladder together.
Okay.
Andrade gestures like, go ahead, man, you can have it. Tells Penta to grab the case.
Oh, come on.
Right. Penta reaches, and Andrade just punches him right in the gut. Commentary apparently called Penta naive, like he'd never seen a pro wrestling match before.
Never trust anyone in Money in the Bank. Rule number 1.
Basic stuff. And speaking of setups, that ladder bridge.
Between the ring and the barricade, yeah.
Commentary pointed it out when it was built. You see that. You know someone's crashing through it later. It's just waiting to happen.
Foreshadowing with furniture. Classic. And Penta wasn't done. Mexican Destroyer.
Onto the ladder bridge they'd set up earlier. Commentary apparently lost it. Holy hell. Potential neck snapper.
Did the ladder give way on that one, too?
Sources said it buckled hard on impact, described as disgusting, but also spectacular. That perfect wrestling blend of horrifying and awesome.
Disgusting and spectacular sums up a lot of ladder matches. And speaking of ladders, there was a special one later on.
Oh, yes, the fireball ladder.
Sponsored content.
Big time. Came out around the 20-minute mark. Described as huge, maybe the best ladder ever seen, just massive.
And clearly branded for Fireball whiskey.
Oh, yeah. Commentary explained it right away. El Grande Americano pulled it out from under the ring.
Of course he did.
With commentary joking the Creed brothers must have hidden it there for him / Gable.
Nice touch.
And he immediately used it as a weapon, right? Spinning it around like the Sandman.
The Sandman spot. Wow. Hitting everyone.
Pretty much. Commentary noted the blatant product placement, but actually praised Pat McAfee for, like, selling it well, making it part of the action.
So it wasn't just sitting there. It became a factor.
Definitely. Penta and Rollins fought on it later, too. It was a major prop in the match's second half. Interesting integration, the sources noted. The material points to El Grande Americano, and it looks like he's adding something. A steel plate right into his mask.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, like right away, is how the commentators react. As the camera seems to catch him doing this, you hear Wade Barrett basically pushing a totally different narrative. He's saying it's an antihistamine. for swelling.
Oh, wow. So right off the bat, you've got this clash between what you're maybe seeing and what one commentator is saying.
Exactly. It creates this immediate sort of tension.
And while that whole debate is happening inside the ring, Penta, he's in perfect spot, right?
Prime position. Yeah, he's high up on the main ladder. Looks like he's literally inches away from grabbing that briefcase, the objective.
But things don't stay calm for long. LA Knight suddenly crashes the scene. Not by climbing, though. He does something different.
Totally different. He essentially weaponizes El Grande, catapults him, sends him flying into another ladder that's just propped up outside the ring post.
Okay, now here's where, honestly, gets kind of wild according to this. El Grande's recovery. It's described as almost like unbelievable. He doesn't just stay down.
Not at all. He's back on his feet with this cat-like speed, and he immediately starts scaling that ladder he was thrown near, the outside one.
And then he uses another ladder. This is nuts.
It's incredible. There's a second ladder inside the ring, kind of leaning on the ropes. He uses almost like a springboard, or maybe riding it like a catapult, to launch himself across the gap onto the main ladder where Penta still is.
That is some serious improvisation. Very split second.
Extremely innovative. And it works. He gets right up there.
Which leads directly to the impact point. El Grande reaches Penta up there, delivers a headbutt. It was with a loaded mask, the one with the plate.
And that's when Michael Cole, another commentator, just goes right through the earlier story. His reaction is instant. He's yelling something like, he used the damn steel plate in his mask.
So confirmation. It confirms what the camera hinted at earlier and just blows up that whole antihistamine explanation from Barrett. For you watching, it's like, okay, that's what really happened.
Right. The visual gets backed up loud and clear. But this whole crazy sequence, it isn't even over yet.
No.
What happens next?
Just as El Grande lands that headbutt, boom, LA Knight appears. Again, right behind El Grande on the same ladder. And he hits a suplex.
Bastard.
A suplex from way up there off the ladder. Just a huge, high-impact end to that whole scramble up the ladder.
Wow. And the crowd reaction, the source mentions it specifically. Oh, yeah. Raw. Immediate. A loud chant just breaks out. Holy shit.
You can just picture it.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Wow. Okay. That definitely, yeah, that grabs you. Okay. So we're getting into the later stages. This is where the big narrative stuff started happening, right? Interference. Family drama.
Huge turning points. It started with Rollins. He's down by the announce table looking rough, waving for help.
Signaling the cavalry.
And they arrived. His insurance policies, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, come charging out.
Two absolute monsters.
Then they just started wrecking shop, attacking everyone else, clearing the ring for Rollins. Breakker was noted for his chaos, Reed for his power.
The ultimate deck stackers, one source calling them.
Yeah, and Paul Heyman, aligned with Rollins, apparently just cackling like a weasel watching it all unfold.
Their impact was devastating, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Sources detailed Breakker spearing Americano and LA Knight on the floor. Said Americano looked broken in half after the spear.
Ouch.
And Reed hit his tsunami splash on Andrade. Basically neutralized 3 major threats for Rollins.
So Rollins' backup plan worked perfectly.
But
Sikoa had backup too, or potential backup.
That's when things got really interesting. Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo came out.
Fatu, big reaction.
Huge. It led to this big stare down. Breakker and Reed, the power crew of Raw, for Rollins versus Fatu, and Mateo, the power crew of SmackDown, seemingly there for Solo.
And that brawl had big spots too.
Massive ones. Breakker speared Mateo straight through the ringside barricade, took him out completely.
Wow.
And Fatu hit that insane pop-up Samoan drop on Bronson Reed, described as impressive, quite the visual. Then he took Reed out with a suicide dive.
So the interference sort of canceled itself out, leaving Fatu and Solo.
Yeah.
And this was the moment.
The moment. Everyone was watching. Initially, it looked like Fatu was helping Solo. Sources said he helped Solo back in the ring, set up the ladder for him.
Crowd was behind Fatu here, right?
Yeah.
The sources mentioned his face turn.
Yeah. Big-time support for Jacob Fatu. Seen as his official babyface turn, something fans apparently wanted, made sense storyline-wise, looked like family loyalty was winning out.
Solo starts climbing, thinking Fatu cleared the path.
Looks like victory is his, confidence written all over him. Then Fatu reaches up, grabs his ankle.
Yeah, drams. Chills.
Absolute betrayal. Solo looks down, confused. Fatu looks up and yells, "I hate you."
Whoa. Direct callback.
To Solo calling Fatu all gas, no brains on SmackDown the night before. That one line, that dismissal, was apparently the trigger.
Incredible payoff. And Fatu didn't just stop him.
Oh, no. He made a statement, pulled Solo down, super kick, moonsault, then...
Ladder bridge.
Remember the ladder bridge? Fatu hits the spinning Solo, drives his own cousin through it.
Oh, my God. Commentary reaction.
Called it a massive moment, a statement. Said Fatu destroyed Solo, just absolutely leveled him.
Then just walked away.
Just exited. Having, as one source put it, potentially killed off the bloodline for now. Maybe ended that whole chapter right there.
Wow. So a massive storyline moment happens right in the middle of Money in the Bank. Unbelievable.
Completely shifted the landscape.
Okay, so with Solo obliterated by Fatu, the path looked pretty clear for Rollins, didn't it?
Suddenly, yeah. Fatu's gone, Breaker and Reed took out others. Rollins grabs another fireball ladder, starts climbing. Heyman looks calm at ringside. Victory seemed inevitable.
Looked like his whole plan, plus the unexpected Fatu implosion, was working out. But LA Knight, he wasn't done.
Still had fight left. Sources called him the lone person to still have life in his meter. Incredible resilience.
Takes a final push.
Comes back in, pulls Rollins off the ladder, hits a lariat, starts climbing himself. Third year in a row for him in this match. Maybe this was finally it.
But Rollins, he recovered.
Just quick enough. Pulled Knight down, slammed his head into the ladder, then hit the stomp.
And that was it for Knight.
Yeah, sources said Knight was out cold. Rollins finally alone. Clear path.
Climbs unchallenged.
Climbs up, retrieves the briefcase. Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank.
Match time. Sources had slightly different numbers.
Yeah, one said 33 minutes, 35 seconds. Another said 33 minutes, 50 seconds. Over half an hour of that chaos.
And Rollins celebrates with his crew.
Yep, pyro goes off. Joined by Breaker and Reed, celebrating the win they helped secure.
Now, looking back at the match itself, quality-wise, sources had some mixed notes despite the big moments.
A little bit. While the big spots and the Fatu turn landed huge, some described it as not the smoothest. Mentioned rough moments in the execution.
Like what specifically?
An awkward ladder bridge spot with Andrade and Penta apparently needed adjusting on the fly.
Ah, okay. Little hiccups.
And another sequence where Penta apparently had to wait quite a while on a ladder while Americano did the whole steel plate and the mask thing, and then Knight's catapult of Americano towards Penta was described as awkward.
So some clunky bits in the choreography.
Seems like it, but overall, sources agree the sold-out LA crowd was hot for it, loved the big moments, the energy carried it through those rough patches.
Okay, let's take a look at what Mr. Meltzer in the bank had to say. And Meltzer gave it a pretty significant rating.
Yeah, that's the first big thing from the notes. 4.5 stars. I mean, that immediately tells you he saw something special.
For sure. 4.5 is, well, it's a big deal.
But what really jumps out to me looking at these notes is the situation with one of the guys in the match.
Oh, you mean Chad Gable?
Oh.
Or, well, El Grande Americano in this match?
Right. Explain that, because it's kind of wild.
Okay, so Meltzer specifically pointed out that Gable had already wrestled earlier that same day.
On the AAA show against El Hijo del Vikingo. And Meltzer apparently called that match a near match of the year candidate.
Wait. So he has a potential match of the year, like a top-tier singles match in the afternoon, probably super demanding. And then he turns around and gets into a multi-person Money in the Bank ladder match that same evening.
Exactly. As El Grande Americano, the endurance is just, it's pretty incredible.
Seriously. That's next-level physical output for one day.
It really is. And Meltzer also noted another detail about the El Grande Americano character in the MITB match.
What was that?
He was introduced again from the Gulf of America, and Meltzer sort of assumed this meant that maybe the complaints from fans in Mexico about the character had, subsided.
Okay. So an assumption based on the presentation. Interesting. It suggests maybe they're listening to that feedback, perhaps.
Seems like that's what Meltzer inferred, yeah.
Okay, so we've got this amazing endurance story and this character detail. What about the crowd during the match itself? Did Meltzer pick up on specific reactions?
Oh, yeah. The notes mention a few different chants. At one point, people were chanting for tables.
Tables. In a ladder match. That's a bit specific, isn't it? Usually more for Extreme Rules or something.
Yeah, a little unusual, but that's what the crowd wanted, apparently.
Okay. Any other chants that stood out in the notes?
Yes, this one's interesting. Meltzer reported fans chanting OTC directly at Seth Rollins when he was, in control.
Right, OTC.
This was a reference to Roman Reigns.
Okay, so just to clarify for you listening, that OTC chant. OTC stands for Original Tribal Chief.
Okay. And the chanting didn't end there.
Oh.
Later on, when some interference started happening, the crowd started chanting for CM Punk.
Oh, okay. Interference. So the notes mentioned that was a factor.
They did. Meltzer specifically wrote that Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed just freely interfere.
Freely. Like no one stopped them.
And they were interfering on behalf of Seth Rollins, attacking, everyone else in the match.
So basically, two guys helping Rollins, taking out his opponents.
Yeah.
And the crowd reacted by chanting for Punk to come out. Maybe even the odds.
Yeah, that seems to be the implication. They wanted Punk to fight them off.
Okay, so lots of outside help for Rollins, crowd calling for a specific person to counteract it, and nothing.
Right. And beyond that, the notes just mention, typical ladder match stuff. Lots of big moves, lots of climbing, high action.
Okay, so when you sort of step back and look at everything Meltzer highlighted for this 4.5-star match.
Yeah.
It's not just the moves, is it?
Not at all.
It's this incredible double-duty performance. It's these really specific crowd chants wanting tables, the whole OTC thing, calling for Punk, and this significant unchecked interference. It paints a much richer picture. Okay, so let's sum it up. Rollins wins, predictably maybe, but the journey was wild.
Very convoluted path to victory.
Jacob Fatu turns on Solo in spectacular, brutal fashion. Huge storyline implications there.
Massive fallout coming from that for sure.
The El Grande Americano Gable thing was, well, it was a thing. A very weird, detailed thing on commentary.
Kept him busy anyway.
And LA Knight loses again. Third time. Leaves you wondering where he goes now.
Definitely. The sources really focused on that. What's next for Knight, especially being on SmackDown. Felt like he needed this win more than anyone.
Tough spot for him. Okay, so the biggest immediate consequence, according to your sources, the cash-in.
Huge speculation. Several sources strongly predict Rollins tries to cash in almost immediately.
How immediate?
Like the very next night, Monday, June 9th, on Raw.
Wow, less than 24 hours later. Why the certainty?
It lines up with Raw's main event. Rollins is on Raw.
Yeah.
And the World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. Jey Uso versus Gunther.
So Rollins targets the winner of that match. Makes sense. But why the prediction that it happens specifically then, and what's the twist?
One theory laid out was the only reason big names like CM Punk or Roman Reigns didn't interfere to stop Rollins winning MITB was so he could win it, making him the perfect target for the cash-in.
So they let him win the case just so they could screw him when he tries to use it.
That's the theory.
Setting up huge feuds for Rollins down the line with Punk or Reigns or whoever costs him.
Exactly. The briefcase becomes less about Rollins' guaranteed shot and more about a plot device to create his next big conflict. It's a fascinating strategic angle from the sources.
Using the cash in itself as the catalyst for the next story. Clever.
Frames the predictable win in a much less predictable long-term narrative.
Okay, and looking beyond just tomorrow night, sources mentioned other upcoming stuff. King and Queen of the Ring.
Yeah, qualifying matches start on that same Raw, June 9th. Winners get title shots at SummerSlam in August. Big opportunity there.
And Nikki Bella returns on Raw, too.
Scheduled return, yeah. Sources expect that ties into the build for the All-Women's Evolution event.
Which is happening when again?
2 weeks after Night of Champions, apparently.
Yeah.
So her return lines up to start promoting Evolution, where she was a headliner last time.
And looking way ahead. WrestleMania 42.
Officially announced. Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. Saturday, April 18th and Sunday, April 19th, 2026.
Vegas it is. Contradicts earlier rumors, right?
Yeah, sources noted the New Orleans rumors seemed dead. Vegas conflicts presumably resolved. Locked in now.
Good to know. And finally, the usual plugs were mentioned in the sources, too.
Yep, Fanatics games at Fanatics Fest NYC, FIFA World Cup packages, Wheatley American Vodka, honoring the military, Prime Hydration, standard integrated stuff during the broadcast.
Gotcha.